Thursday afternoon. Welcome back to another Thursday afternoon. If you are grateful that you're still alive and well, just type a 3 or say me. Let me know you're here. Another beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. It's a little chilly here in Maryland today, but the weather's gorgeous. And of course, any day above ground is a good day. So you all come on in, say hello, say hi, say hola, say something. Let me know you're here as we get ready to go into the holiday season. It seems like yesterday when the pandemic broke out and we were somewhat, forced to be home. And here we are now coming into the holiday season, a very different holiday season. Just holler at me if you're here. Say, I'm here. Say, hey, Dr. K. Something. Let me know you're watching. Hey, Janet Peoples, how you doing? Always good to see you. Always, always, always. I tell you, so it is Thursday again. It is lunchtime. Hey, Carolyn Cooper, you always around, and I so appreciate you. It's lunchtime. I don't know what you guys are eating. Hi, Barbara Lewis. Always good to hear from you as well. Tell me what you guys are eating. It's lunchtime. I just had a salad today because this pandemic eating. Got to be careful. And then we're going into the holiday. So today I just simply did a salad. It was delicious too. I absolutely enjoyed it. But how you guys doing out there? Let me know. So I want to talk today about stress, a topic I'm sure all of us can relate to. Is that uneasiness we feel when life gets to be too much or things get to be too much or people get to be too much. Anyone know what I'm talking about? Somebody type, I've dealt with stress. Holla at me. I've dealt with stress. So I wanted to encourage you today, just take a few moments to encourage you to keep your stress levels down as much as possible in this hour that we're living in. When you think about it, really, there's a lot to be concerned about, but there's also a lot to be thankful for. And I'll tell you, being thankful, it kicks worry to the curb any day. So in Philippians chapter 4, the Apostle Paul has this theme about being happy in life. And most people would say, can you really be joyful with all this going on? How many of you out there are joyful? Just type at me. I don't mean you're like goofy, slap happy, just bubbling over, but you have joy and you have some sense of peace, even though we're dealing with some difficult stuff right now. Would you write that down? I'm joyful. So most people, I find that a lot of folks don't enjoy life. They endure life, right? They just trying to get through each day, not enjoy each day, but they're trying to just get through each day because the things around them, the things taking place in their life have caused them to begin to worry. And worry is more natural for some people than others, but in a time that we live in, you can see why people would be concerned about what's taking place around them. However, we want to encourage you today not to let your stress, not to let anxiety, not to let fear, not to let any of that rule you, because there are so many things in your life that you can thank God for. And there are a lot of blessings. The coronavirus has absolutely been a noisome pestilence, as Psalm says. However, there's a lot of good coming out of this season as well. Anything good happen in your life this season? Take a moment and drop us a note. Tell us what kind of good things are coming out of this for you. It hasn't been all bad. For me, I've had more time with family. In fact, every Friday night I get my family time in, and that wasn't always happening before the pandemic broke out. I also have had a chance to get some much needed rest. Anybody getting any much needed rest out there? All right. So I've had a chance to get some much needed rest. That's been good. And think about it, guys. Many of us, we've saved money. Anyone save money during this season. You can't travel. You can't do a lot of the things you normally would do. Hey, Tiffany Puckett. Tiffany says, spending more time with my mom. I have a Tiffany too, Tiffany Puckett, and I get to spend time with her. So I feel you. That's Tiffany Puckett. Listen, if you're watching, Cynthia Gilliam said family healing. Oh, Cynthia, I'm so happy for you. Man, that's major. A lot of people are refinding themselves in their relationships and their bonds with family. That is so powerful. So there's some good that's come out of this. But what we have to make sure is that we don't worry ourselves over things that we really cannot change. We cannot change what's happening. All we can change is how it affects us. So, how is it affecting you guys out there? Anyone making it through this all right? Are you surviving this or are you thriving in it? Just shoot me a one word: survive or thrive. Janice says she's trying her best to be and stay joyful. I'm with you, Janet. I am with you. Same struggle. I have really some days had to pull in the rain, loins of my mind and just really say to myself, now come on now, think on these things. So in Philippians, this powerful passage that the apostle Paul shared with people to encourage them, he gives us three little things that I think will help you and me. He says, worry about nothing, pray about everything, and be thankful in all things. Three little steps that really take a little time. However, they really do work. So worry about nothing. Don't spend time worrying about what you may not be able to fix. Or do you know that oftentimes many of the things we worry about, they don't happen anyway? It was just the fear of them or the thought that they could possibly happen. And worry is a killjoy. It's a source of stress when we tend to expect the worst in life. But we have so many reasons today not to expect the worst, but to expect the best, because we already know we can do all things through Christ. We're more than conquerors through him that loved us. He will not put more on us than we can bear. All right. So there are what we call macro worries. Those are things that people worry about, that everybody on the planet worries about, like the economy, like the coronavirus. And then there are micro worries. Those are personal things that we deal with every day, such as job security and our health, our relationships, and our families. So you have macro and micro concerns that may come at you. But listen to this: worry is assuming that God never intended to take care of us in the first place. If God has been good to you and taking care of you, would you type that? God has been good to me. Anybody out there besides me? Is that your testimony? Share that with us. Drop us a line and say, God has been taking good care of me, right? So understand that God intends to take care of us. It doesn't matter what's happening on the earth around us. God intends to take care of us. Dr. Walter Cavert rather, has done some studies on worries, and this is what he finds, and this should be encouraging. 40% of our worries never happen. That means almost 50%, almost half of the things we worry about, they never happen anyway. And then 30% of our worries concern the past, which means we don't want to spend time back there because we can't change what happened back there. And then 12% of our worries are needless worries about our health. And then 8% of our worries are legitimate. So only a small portion of the things that we are really concerned about are things that we should worry about. What kind of things worry you? Type in the chat, what kind of things concern you? If I were to answer that, I would say the care and health of my family and close friends. And I have a big family. I have my immediate family, my biological family. Then I have my church family and my incubator family and all these other folks. And so 8% of our worries are really legitimate. What kind of things worry you, if you don't mind sharing? Or what kind of things concern you? Is anybody concerned with the spike in the coronavirus cases? Well, the good news is that worry can't change anything. Worry doesn't change anything. But what will change things is if you cast your cares on the Lord and trust Him, just like He said you could. Cast your cares on Him. Lean back in your daddy's arms safely and just trust Him. Now, that doesn't mean not to take precautions. How many of you wear masks? Talk to me if you wear masks today. Tiffany Puckett said, yes, wearing masks are so important. It's such a small thing to ask, too, because it protects you and the people around you. How many of you are taking proper precautions? You're washing your hands, you're socially distancing. How many of you are doing that? And I have another question for you. How many people are you having for Thanksgiving? Drop a number in the chat. I'm only having 7 people. Well, 8. I'm only having 8 people over to the house. How many people are you having for Thanksgiving? And will you be traveling, or are you just kind of sticking close to home? Talk to us. Tiffany says 3, so there'll be 3 of us at her house. Denise says 0. Denise, but you'll be there. That's at least 1. Anybody cooking? I'm cooking this year. Cheryl says she's having 8, and Cheryl's a chef, so I can imagine Barbara Lewis says she's having 4. She's going to have 4 people at her house. Anyone traveling? Y'all hear all that noise? Cynthia's having a Zoom Thanksgiving. Why not, Cynthia? Everything's Zoom now. Can y'all hear that noise? They're in there fixing, well, not fixing, but changing our bathroom. I should have told him I was going to be on here, right? So hopefully you guys can still hear me. There we go. And there he goes again. But for Thanksgiving this year, instead of fixing a whole big turkey, because I don't want it to go to waste, I'm just going to fix turkey wings. What are you guys fixing for Thanksgiving? What's on the menu? And I know my topic today was worry, but with Thanksgiving coming up, I definitely wanted to touch on that. We still have a lot to be thankful for, and we are thankful. And God's going to continue to give us reasons to be thankful, to be grateful, right? So worry, we call it a killjoy, because even when you're having a great time, if you allow yourself to worry, it robs you of the joy and peace you could be having in that moment, thinking about things down the road that might never even happen. Worry also is not good for your health, because people who tend to worry end up with headaches and strokes and heart attacks with prolonged worrying. You can have all those conditions begin to manifest in your life. So how do we deal with worry? What do we do? Well, number 1, decide if the thing is real or not. Because as I just shared from Dr. Cavitt's experience, some of the things we worry about, they're not even legitimate concerns. All right. Number 2, make a list of things you are thankful for. Write out a list, maybe about 1 to 8 things. You don't need to do an exhaustive list, but give yourself about 5 to 8 things that you can focus on every time you feel worry, and begin to remind yourself of all the things you have to be thankful for, and make a list of all the ways that God has blessed you. Oh my goodness. Because when you do that, you'll begin to realize, what am I worried about? If He did it in the past, He's going to do it now. What's the greatest thing that you were recently worried about that didn't happen? Anyone feel like sharing? I, of course, was a little concerned when the virus broke out. I didn't want my family to get it. I didn't want my church family to get it. I didn't want to get it. And so far, so good. I'm trusting God all the way. I'm taking proper precautions. I'm wearing a mask. I'm socially distant. And so I trust God that it will skip over me. I also put the blood on the door of my house representing the Passover. And I'm just trusting God that it will not come nigh my dwelling. But at the same time, I'm not just going to be unwise. I'm going to wash my hands regularly, socially distance. And every time somebody comes to our house, I spray Lysol when they leave. I spray up the area where they were. I do. Yes, I do. To just to kill germs because you really don't know who's asymptomatic. You don't know what people are carrying. So on this beautiful, beautiful Thursday, we are a week away from Thanksgiving. That's so hard to believe. And then right behind Thanksgiving, 4 more weeks and it's Christmas. So we're looking at 5 to 6 weeks, being 5 to 6 weeks away from Christmas. And then, what's coming right behind that? New Year's. So, what are you going to do differently next year than you did this year? Somebody ought to type worry less, right? Worry less. Just take one day at a time. And in that day, thank God for all that He's done. Keep your mind on Him in imperfect peace and make plans for your future. Write out the things you want to accomplish and the things you want to do and begin to work on your goals. That'll keep your mind off of worry, I promise you. But it's been so good. Marlene Anderson says she's going to worry less next year. I know that's right, Marlene. I'm with you. What else are you guys planning for next year? Anyone have plans for next year that you can share? I plan to lose some weight. Oh, yeah. I plan to lose some weight. I want to trim down some. Not really a big person, but I think there's some pandemic pounds that I want to say goodbye to. But I also I intend to organize my life a little more. It gets deep when you start cleaning out that basement. So I have some areas of the basement I want to clean out, and then I also want to go and make an electronic copy of all the photos. Anybody else have a lot of nice old photos that are kind of getting wrinkled and some might be fading a little bit? I'm going to do electronic copies of them and get all these photos on one nice backup disc and organize in folders. So that's something I want to do. Since we have to be home so much, I want to make sure Tiffany Puckett says she's going to work out more. I'm with you, Tiffany. Yes, ma'am. I even thought about starting to run. And so that's something I'm looking into. I think that would be healthy. It's funny how when we're as kids, we just run and play all day. But when you get older, running around, that's a different situation. So did anyone share with us today what they're eating for lunch? I already shared I had a really good salad with this ginger sesame vinaigrette. Oh my goodness. Really, really good. Grilled cheese and tomato soup. That sounds good, Cheryl. And I know if you made it, I know it's delicious. She can really cook, y'all. So I hope I heard from everybody who's watching today. If I didn't, just type I'm watching real quick so I can see who's out there. Because I would love, of course, to personally thank you for spending these 20 minutes with me on Thursday in the podcast White Bean Kale Soup. Oh, that sounds so good. That sounds so good. Somebody just let me know. Type I'm watching. I want to see who's here today. I'm watching. Well, it has been so good to spend this time with you. And I tell you, I'm just really, really grateful about and happy about the many things that God is doing in this pandemic. Don't miss your pandemic blessings. Don't overlook what God is doing, even though things are kind of crazy. Cheryl Jenkins, how you doing? Cheryl says, I'm watching. Anyone else say it? All right, Joel Williamson. Hey, Joel. He said, I'm watching. Anyone else watching? Please share it on the screen for us. All right, Alana, I will replay on a short break. Hey, Alana, good to see you. Audrey Marable said, I'm watching. Hey, Audrey. Good to see you. Marshall Warren said, I'm watching from the office today. Hey, Marshall. She's a part of our e-church. She's one of our North Carolina members. And I forgot to mention that you can join STCF now from anywhere in the world. You just go onto our website. Hey, Alinda Washington, I miss you. I am watching. That's what Alinda said. Shelly Albert said, I'm watching. Alicia Lewis said, working on my doctorate. I'm watching. You go, Alicia. All God's best to you while you do that. I remember working on mine. It took over my life for a minute. But it's been a joy with being with you all today. And I hope that you have an amazing Thanksgiving because I won't get to see you on next Thursday because it will be Thanksgiving. But please have a great Thanksgiving. Be safe, be clean, and take good care of yourself and know that God's got you covered. I love you. God bless you. Don't worry. Be happy.